Why so superficial? Why in our culture nowadays is everything so superficial? No one dives, no one delves into deep questions and asks people what they really want to know or tell them how they really feel. When you ask someone how their day is going, you should say it twice because we just have a automatic response system that says, "Oh, it's going good." Very few people actually elaborate and say, anything. They're just say, "Oh, good." They could be having the worst day of their life and they will not tell you. And I think, it's good not to complain, but that's not why they're doing it. They're doing it because they have an automated system where it's just so superficial. It's you know, just so like monotone, like a script. It's like a script. You just go through life day in out, day in and day out with a script. And if somebody you ask someone how they're doing and they start telling you how they're really doing, you're almost like, "Oh wow, this is weird. I didn't want to know how you actually were doing. I just wanted you to say that you were doing good, and maybe ask how I was doing, so I can just say good, and we can be on our merry way, and make it not look like I'm an antisocial person, you know." But no one wants to talk about important things anymore. Nobody wants to ask the hard questions, talk about the tough things. Nobody wants to talk about dying. Nobody wants to talk about their fears. And why not? Like, don't you want to overcome these things? Don't you want to understand death more? Why wouldn't you want to talk about it? Why wouldn't you want to really see your true opinions on it? Because sometimes, you talk about things and you realize your opinion's actually different than you thought it was. You don't hold the same belief that you at face value thought you believed. And like Socrates did, he went into conversations, acting like he didn't know anything about the situation. And he would ask why. Why? Like, ask them, "Hey, how are you doing?" "Good." "Why?" "Why are you doing good? What is happening right now that you're doing that's so good?" You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that as to be, like, negative or cynical. Like, maybe they are doing good. But sometimes people just say good when they're doing bad. And sometimes people just say good when they aren't doing good and they aren't doing bad. They're just, going through life. And sometimes people say they're doing bad. And in reality, they're doing good. It's just that one's a little rarer because, it's just that's not the automated response. The automated response is, "I'm doing good, and let's get on our merry way." You know what I mean? I think a part of that's also with the internet age. A lot of people don't want to talk in person. I was talking to this guy the other day, and I've seen him a couple times before, and he just reached out and talked to me, and I was like, "Oh, all right." Like, so we started talking for a little bit, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll see people in here, every single day for months, and they'll never say a word to me. They'll never even make eye contact with me." And I was just thinking, I was like, wow, like, this was an older gentleman, so he was, around when there was no phones. And to see the change of, I believe it's the phone, the phone of people. Why would you have an in-person relationship when you can have a phone relationship that's safe, and you don't need to talk about anything too serious, and you have time to think before you respond, and you know all those things. So it's like, yeah, that was really eye-opening for me. And it's like, yeah, there's a lot of people that I see all the time, and it's a fault of my own. I don't say hi to them, but they don't even make eye contact with me. They like look a different way. I see you every single day. Like, we should, maybe at least be on a first name basis. I mean, obviously, at the gym, I think is one thing because you're in there trying to get your work in. But, like out in public, you see people and it's just like, see them all the time and never say anything. You don't know their name. If they saw you somewhere, they'd recognize you. If you saw them somewhere, they'd recognize you. But you guys have never even talked. And I think that's something that's changed from definitely the social media age. And I think a part of that is also a part of everything just becoming so superficial and everything just becoming so surface level. No one wants to dive into any hard questions anymore. No one wants to talk about anything that, like what makes you cry, you know, what are your feelings on death? Like, are you afraid you're gonna die? Do you make decisions based off death? Like, you know what I mean? Just like I feel like real philosophical discourse is just gone. It's talk about some latest sports game that happened, or talk about something that's going on in the news and how people are gossiping and bashing this person, and then in turn they're just doing the same thing, acting like they're so bad for gossiping when they're just gossiping and thinking it's okay. It's just, everything's just so superficial and negative nowadays. And I just it's hard. And a lot of it's on me. A lot of it's on you. You can ask these questions, and if people give you a weird look and they're like, hey, I really wouldn't like to talk about that, then you did your best. But if you don't even try, you don't even ask the question, then you can't be mad. You can't be mad that life has turned so superficial because you're not even trying to ask the question. You keep your head down in public and try not to talk to people. You don't ask your loved ones any deep questions. You don't dig into anything. You just, since no one else is doing it, blame them. And you're like, oh, I'd like to talk about that stuff, but they don't bring it up, so I just don't bring it up. And in a world like that, the other person could be thinking the same exact thing, and you both just don't bring something up because you're waiting for the other person to do it. It's like, it's sad. It really is, because that's how real bonds are created. Talking about important things. And it's, yeah, life's just so superficial about talking about the game last night, or talking about this event or that thing that happened, or just things that really don't matter. Things that don't matter in life. Things that aren't beneficial to the self. You need to look at the man in the mirror and try to improve that man. You need to start with the micro, and then you can go to the macro. So don't point fingers around and say, everyone's superficial, because you're superficial. I'm superficial. I wish I wasn't, and I'm trying actively to not be so superficial. But it is, it's hard, because it's how we have evolved, with the social media, especially me. I'm 22 years old, and I grew up with a phone. You know what I mean? I grew up with a phone and around phones and around people who had phones. Like the start of social media. It was like when I was growing up. So I was right in the thick of it, I believe. And I mean, it's probably even worse nowadays. With the age kids are getting phones, and the access to information. There's no sheltering anymore. It's just like yeah, like kids know kids know the things they shouldn't know before health class. Like health class taught me a lot, but I don't think these kids nowadays are going to need health class to teach them much of anything, if you know what I'm talking about. Um, but yeah, just why so superficial? Ask yourself that when you're talking to a loved one, when you're talking to someone who actually matters to you. Ask yourself why you can't just ask them a deep question. Why you can't just get their true opinion on a matter of utmost importance, or whatever it may be. And try to stop making life so superficial, because you know superficial means a lack of meaning, a lack of purpose. So superficial conversations lack meaning, they lack purpose. Don't do that. You want to have purpose, you want to have meaning, you want to have real conversations, and real conversations lead to a real life, and you want to live a real life. You don't want to live a superficial life. And if you have superficial conversations all the time, then your life is bound to be superficial.